All 88 of them, it's an ideal chance to take their talents to the people.
The rock audiences will see the symphony orchestra, our symphony orchestra, Melbourne Symphony Orchestra, in a completely different light from what they think the orchestra should be. It's not quite the stuck-up sort of highbrow, high-collar sort of thing that most people think it is. We'd like to come into the 20th century a bit more.
At today's rehearsals, Elton was decidedly low-key. He wouldn't talk to reporters, and his extravagant costumes were obviously being saved for opening night. But his special humour and style was still evident. He's toured Australia 6 times and just finished a series of concerts around the world. But Elton John has never toured like this before.
It's a first for Elton John, it's a first for the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra, and it's a first for Australia. It's absolutely knockout.
And on the subject of superstars,
Centre last night, not quite knowing what they'd paid $37 each to hear. It sounded like an orchestral concert. It looked like one too, all except for the short man in the outrageous pink wig at the grand piano. After 17 years busting the rock and roll charts, Elton John has embarked on the biggest musical gamble of his career. Could he and his 13-piece hard rock band successfully tour the continent with the full Melbourne Symphony Orchestra? The answer, after 3 encores and a standing ovation, a triumphant yes. In 3 hours on stage, Elton, looking like a psychedelic Mozart, played the hits old and new. As the 39-year-old Captain Fantastic had promised, this was the tour de force.
well, from one man of fine taste in clothing to another, also proving...
High-voltage symphonic rock and roll, a first for Australia, was gulped down by the enthusiastic crowd of 10,500, which packed the Brisbane Entertainment Centre last night.
Any frustrations caused by long delays on the Boondall access roads and car parks would later be relieved. However, late arrivals were left with a long dash up the front stairs as inside hundreds snapped up last-minute tickets. Elton John has toured many times, but never like this. Tonight they'd come not only for a rock concert, but for something completely different. After opening up the first hour and a half with his own band, Elton was back on stage after the break with the 88 pieces of the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra. With his orange tails and matching Amadeus wig, the 101 musicians on stage melded, mainly on slower works, for another 90 minutes. The $37 ticket price had been long forgotten. It was a case of they came, they saw, but Elton conquered. Warren Clark, National 9 News.